Today, I'm going to talk about managing financial leverage.
While it is absolutely true that any type of long-term scalable business venture will utilize financial leverage to provide the necessary capital to operate, as well as reduce the weighted cost of capital of the owners, leverage comes with costs and challenges that cannot always be directly quantified. To depart into Finance 101 for a second, when the after-tax cost of debt is lower than the opportunity cost of equity, it only makes sense to utilize debt to bring down the overall or weighted cost of capital necessary to run a business. Even if the business is debt-free, operating strictly on its own cash reserves, the argument can be made that debt financing would allow the owner or owners to withdraw capital in order to invest in additional profit centers, which in turn can make more money. In theory, it all sounds good, and in practice, debt financing makes a great deal of sense to take advantage of. In practice, while leverage is almost always going to be necessary at some point in time, the ongoing management of third-party debt or investment should not be underestimated either. Put another way, anytime someone else gives you money for a return or fee, they are someday going to want it back. And while financing commitments and agreements may seem to place a certain amount of stability as to when money has to be repaid or refinanced, things can also change in a hurry, leaving the business scrambling for alternative sources of capital. In the current market, this sort of stuff happens every day, and it's one of the more common calls I get from potential clients. And while each call and story is unique, the basic gist is that everything was rolling merrily along with the business when all of a sudden, seemingly out of the blue, a source of third-party business financing called their loans, cut back on credit lines, increased their rates, or something else. Most people believe this type of problem only happens to businesses that are scrambling for survival. Not true. When the economy is on a nice growth trend, the unexpected is less likely to happen, but still can happen with no advance warning. In more turbulent times, all bets are off with respect to financing stability for anyone leveraging their balance sheet. So if leverage is going to be necessary, then management of same is also going to be required. And prudent management would include things like 1. Always keeping your commercial financing profile up to date and in order. 2. Periodically assessing your alternatives in the market. And 3. Developing an emergency refinancing strategy that can be implemented quickly. An alternative approach most commonly utilized is to do nothing and deal with things as they happen. And during the past few decades, this approach has worked pretty well for many businesses. When things do go awry, there can be some short-term scrambling to develop an alternative course of action, but the outcome is rarely ever fatal. It will be interesting to see how the passive approach works going forward. Capital markets are unsettled globally. Each major financial incident sends shockwaves through the market, potentially delivering financial leverage disarray to your door. Ongoing management of leverage does take effort and consumes resources. In today's capital markets, it's also becoming more of a necessary risk management activity that every business needs to consider.
So if you have a business financing problem, challenge, or requirement that you'd like to get some help with, then I suggest you give me a call or send me a note at the contact information at the end of this video. And I'd like to wish you all the success with your business financing endeavors. Take care.